What exactly happened when a Russian warship suddenly changed course directly towards sensitive U.S. waters off Alaska's coast? The U.S. Navy went from quietly shadowing to full alert in seconds, scrambling jets and activating defense protocols. We've obtained exclusive details about this high-stakes encounter in the churning, ice-laden waters of the North Pacific. The tense radio exchanges, the strategic positioning, and the split-second decisions that unfolded as naval officers faced an unexpected situation. Why did the Russian vessel make this provocative maneuver? What triggered the rapid American response? The full story reveals surprising elements about this standoff in one of the world's most geopolitically sensitive maritime regions. The sudden confrontation from shadow to standoff. It was a typical morning in the frigid waters of the Bering Strait when U.S. radar stations picked up something concerning. An unidentified vessel was approaching the Alaskan maritime boundary, moving with purpose and precision that immediately triggered protocols at the monitoring station. Within minutes, a Navy destroyer received orders to intercept and shadow the mysterious ship, maintaining what military strategists call optimal surveillance distance, close enough to monitor every move but far enough to avoid provocation. The vessel was quickly identified as a Russian Udaloy-class destroyer, one of the most formidable surface combatants in the Russian fleet, carrying an arsenal of advanced anti-ship missiles, torpedo systems, and electronic warfare capabilities. What began as routine surveillance transformed into a high-stakes maritime chess match, with the U.S. destroyer maintaining a calculated distance of just over 3 nautical miles, its powerful optical systems capturing every detail of the Russian warship. Unknown vessel approaching Alaskan maritime boundary. This is U.S. Navy destroyer. Please identify yourself and state your intentions. The communications officer's voice carried urgency as the standard protocol echoed across the waters. The responses, when they finally came, were cryptic and deliberately delayed. Tactical communication designed to create uncertainty. Intelligence indicated the Russian vessel had been operating as part of a larger formation that had separated just hours earlier. This classic naval tactic, splitting a formation to test response capabilities, raised immediate alarms at Pacific Command. Could this be a distraction, a test, or something more provocative? The shadow operation grew more complex when Mother Nature intervened. 15-foot swells began hammering both vessels like a relentless battering ram, drastically reducing visibility and creating dangerous conditions. Navy helmsmen executed precise maneuvers, their knuckles white on controls as they fought against the churning seas. Ice spray froze instantly on deck equipment, requiring constant attention from crews already on high alert. Each minute followed the Navy's meticulously designed escalation ladder: visual identification, radio contact, warning signals, and positioning maneuvers. The vessels moved in a dangerous choreography, each maintaining position despite the heaving waters between potential adversaries. The encounter transformed from tense to potentially catastrophic when the Russian warship suddenly altered course, executing a deliberate 30-degree turn directly toward the U.S. exclusive economic zone. Trajectory calculations showed the Russian vessel would penetrate sovereign U.S. territorial waters, the 12 nautical mile boundary recognized under international law, within hours if unchallenged. Following established defensive protocols that have governed these encounters since the Cold War, the U.S. commander ordered his vessel to position directly in the path of the approaching Russian ship. The destroyer cut through the rough seas, establishing what naval strategists call a blocking position, a high-stakes maneuver that physically prevents advancement without direct aggression. A dramatic standoff ensued just miles from American shores. Every slight adjustment by one ship was immediately matched by the other, creating a tense proximity dance between heavily armed warships. Officers on both bridges calculated distances, angles, and potential response scenarios through rain-streaked windows. Maintain position. Continue attempts at communication. Alert air assets of our status. The American captain commanded with remarkable composure despite the escalating situation. While Russian naval vessels had operated near Alaska before, military analysts recognized this encounter represented a significant escalation. Previous activities typically involved transit through international waters, assertive but legal movements. This deliberate course change towards sovereign U.S. waters marked a dangerous new level of provocation. Both vessels now stood their ground in a volatile standoff, each crew fully aware that the next decision could either defuse the situation or potentially trigger a cascade of escalating responses between two nuclear powers. America's rapid response, air and sea mobilization. Those encrypted communications were merely the opening move in a much larger military chess game already unfolding beneath the surface. While the two warships faced each other in that tense maritime standoff, an elaborate defense mechanism had silently activated, transforming what appeared to be a simple confrontation into a masterclass of coordinated military response. What happened next would astonish even the most seasoned military observers. When that invisible maritime boundary boundary was crossed, NORAD headquarters erupted into controlled chaos. Within seconds, the alert triggered a meticulously choreographed sea-air defense operation, one that had been endlessly rehearsed but rarely implemented against an actual foreign warship. America demonstrated its complete defensive capability in one of its most strategic regions through immediate, decisive action. The Pentagon's secure communication network instantly lit up with encrypted transmissions bouncing between Washington, Pacific Command in Hawaii, and every military asset within striking distance. The apparent destroyer standoff rapidly evolved into a multi-dimensional response, showcasing the full spectrum of American military coordination. Have you ever wondered how long it actually takes for a superpower to deploy its military power? The answer is startling. Just 17 minutes after the Russian vessel's provocative course change, the thunderous roar of twin F-22 Raptor engines pierced the stillness of the Alaskan skies. Scrambled from Elmendorf Air Force Base in Anchorage, these fifth-generation fighters streaked toward the maritime confrontation at supersonic speeds, their advanced radar systems already mapping every detail of the unfolding situation below. Their presence established immediate air superiority and created the first layer of America's three-dimensional response. Beneath the waves, an equally powerful message emerged. A Virginia-class submarine, one of America's most lethal and silent underwater predators, deliberately surfaced within visual range of the Russian destroyer. This exceptional move broke with standard submarine doctrine of remaining hidden, sending an unmistakable message about America's subsurface capabilities and readiness. Operation Frontier Sentinel represents our commitment to meet presence with presence when strategic competitors operate in and around U.S. waters, explains Coast Guard operational doctrine that perfectly describes the next phase. Multiple Coast Guard vessels rapidly converged, including the imposing 418-foot Cutter Stratton, establishing a precise defensive perimeter that effectively boxed in the Russian warship while maintaining calculated distances to prevent accidental collision. Communication became the critical weapon in this high-stakes encounter. Aboard the U.S. destroyer, specialists employed an escalating series of contact methods, from standard maritime radio frequencies to international emergency channels, secure military bands, and visual signaling. The message delivered across every medium was identical. This incursion would not be tolerated. What makes this situation particularly fascinating is the execution of what strategists call a three-dimensional containment strategy. This synchronized operation combined air power, surface vessels, and submarine assets, creating an impenetrable defensive bubble that effectively nullified the Russian advance without firing a shot. The response represents a dramatic evolution in American tactics. Gone are the days of simply shadowing foreign vessels at a respectful distance. This approach demonstrates a commitment to immediate, overwhelming shows of force that leave no ambiguity about American capabilities or resolve. Most impressive was the seamless integration of different military branches: Navy surface combatants, Air Force fighters, submarine forces, and Coast Guard assets operating as a unified entity, showcasing decades of joint warfare doctrine development. This wasn't an isolated incident. In December, NORAD detected 4 Russian military aircraft near Alaska, and months earlier, U.S. Coast Guard vessels encountered Russian naval ships, including 2 submarines, crossing into the U.S. exclusive economic zone near Point Hope. Each incident has refined the American response playbook, creating a sophisticated defense mechanism that activates almost automatically when boundaries are crossed. The strategic chess game: why Russian warships target Alaska. Frequent Russian incursions near Alaska have increased by a staggering 140% in the last 5 years. This figure is evidence of a calculated strategy that is turning the icy northern waters into ground zero for a silent war of influence, comparable to a game of chess where every naval move has a specific and worrying purpose. What we are witnessing is a meticulously designed pattern. When diplomatic tensions between Washington and Moscow reach their peak, Russian vessels invariably appear in waters near Alaska. This direct correlation demonstrates that Russia uses its naval presence as a geopolitical tool, sending clear messages without firing a single shot. The most alarming aspect is the growing coordination between Russia and China in these naval operations. In August 2023, something unprecedented occurred when 11 foreign military vessels, a joint Sino-Russian operation, incursed into American waters near the Aleutian Islands. The response was immediate. 4 U.S. warships were dispatched to the area. Senator Dan Sullivan confirmed that this event represented a multiplied threat that greatly complicates the American response. These ships are conducting sophisticated operations near Alaska. According to military intelligence reports, they are meticulously mapping submarine cables critical to American communications, testing advanced electronic warfare systems, and collecting precise data on how American forces respond to each incursion. They are, in essence, building a detailed manual on how to neutralize American defenses with each incursion. Timing is another fascinating element of this strategy. Many of these Russian naval maneuvers coincide exactly with American military exercises or diplomatic initiatives in Eastern Europe or the South China Sea, a deliberate tactic to divide American attention and resources. Climate change has transformed Alaska into coveted territory in this strategic game. The ice that once served as an impenetrable natural shield is now melting rapidly, revealing new shipping routes and access to natural resources worth trillions of dollars. This shift transforms what was once a frozen buffer zone into a battleground for global influence, where whoever controls the Arctic will have an incalculable strategic advantage. Russian military doctrine explicitly identifies the Arctic as a priority theater for its operations. The Bering Strait, just 55 miles wide at its narrowest point, represents a strategic choke point that Russia seeks to control through regular naval presence and increasingly aggressive territorial assertions. This effective control of the gateway between the Pacific and the Arctic offers incalculable military and commercial value, allowing it to regulate maritime traffic and dominate the new trade routes emerging with the melting ice. Russia's strategy near Alaska is multidimensional, gathering intelligence on American defensive capabilities, testing response times, familiarizing itself with complex Arctic waters, and demonstrating its renewed global naval power. A U.S. Coast Guard commander has confirmed this increase in both Chinese and Russian naval activity around Alaska. Perhaps most troubling is the absence of a permanent U.S. naval base in Alaska. This strategic vulnerability is being systematically exploited by Russian military planners. Senator Sullivan has vocally defended the need to increase military assets and infrastructure, recognizing that without a permanent naval presence, U.S. responsiveness to this growing joint threat is severely compromised. Conclusion: what we've witnessed in Alaska's waters isn't just an isolated incident. It's the opening move in a strategic Arctic chess game that demands immediate attention. Senator Dan Sullivan has repeatedly sounded the alarm about America's disadvantage. Russia operates 54 icebreakers while the U.S. has only a few. This staggering disparity reveals our unpreparedness. Military leaders are pushing for expansion in Alaska, including Nome's deep water port, to accommodate Navy and Coast Guard vessels. These infrastructure investments are essential defenses against the emerging Russian-Chinese naval alliance threatening American sovereignty in our northernmost frontier. The chess pieces are moving. America must respond decisively to secure its Arctic future.